Good afternoon on this beautiful Friday, a cold Friday from New York City. Um, today's Friday, December 27th, 2024, and today's rant of Expert on Nothing, EON, is about you don't care about the Middle East. You say you do, you say you care about humanity, and you don't give a darn. And when I say you, when I say everyone, I'm talking general. I'm not talking you specifically saying, but I do. Me, Mike, me, John, I care. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about the general population. And I'm talking about not just the general population, but I'm talking about an ample amount of people who don't care. And here's what I'm going to say. But there's some race out there, there's some people out there that always bother you and always bother the general public and always has something deep, whether it's love or hate relationship with them. They always have something that bothers them. And you want to say like it's something biblical. You better believe in God that this is a fact. You somehow it hits your heart. It hits you deep in the heart and say, I have to have an opinion on this and I have to say something about this. And at the same time, those same people always have to say, what are people saying about me? And that is, to be honest with you, sorry to say it, me being one of them, are the Jews. The Jews are always like, what are you saying about me? And at the very same time, the other side is saying, what are the Jews doing? What are they not doing? What are they doing wrong? And what are they doing right? Let's accuse them and let's just hunt them down. And I'll tell you what this has to do with you don't care about the Middle East. Well, obviously a couple of weeks ago, which was big news for about a week, and then of course it died down. Jelani, the guy, and his crews and the rebels in Syria took over a 50 plus years, I believe it was 53 to be exact, years of dictatorship by a family called the Assad family. Bashar al-Assad was, I'm not sure his father's name, but his father was obviously stronger than him, and he honestly needed a lot more help than his father needed, in the sense that he had to use Iran, he had to use Russia, he had to use everybody. And that country was a mess, literally for a long, long time. But it wasn't really a strong country. It was literally like not a country for the past 15 years. It was Iran patrolling it. It was Israel bombing it all the time for the roots for Hezbollah. And then it was the US was there, Russia was there, NATO was there, everyone was there, and everybody had everything there. No one cared. It was a trash country from the standpoint of it was chaotic everywhere. Then a couple of weeks ago when Russia and Iran were kind of occupied, especially the stronghold of the Iranian-backed regime Hezbollah was kind of got their ass kicked, let's be real here. And they're severely weakened, and Russia's very occupied with Ukraine with that war that nobody cares about anymore, besides for Russians and Ukrainians alike, which is sad. I mean, millions of people dying, but no, you don't care. The general people don't care. What's going on in Syria right now is like, you think that they surprisingly took over al-Assad, and officially al-Assad fled to Moscow, that family. And at the same time, what you have now is though the al-Assad supporters come out yesterday or 2 days ago, and guess what? No one's talking about it. And there was firefights in the streets. People are dying in Syria. The other day, Christians are getting beaten up. They're getting pummeled and beaten to the ground. But you don't care. You saw like a pro-rebel groups here or there around the country for about 2 to 3 days, waving the flag, the new Syrian flag with green on it. I'm not sure what each represents, to be honest with you. And again, I'm an expert on nothing, but this is what I see. And all I see is this: is no one cares anymore. Nobody gives a darn. Syria's doesn't mean anything anymore. But everybody turns their attention straight to what is Israel doing, bombing their weapons and taking over some territory. Whether it's justified or not, why are you talking about them? Because remember, there were people from outside of Syria, not just Syrians, that just took over the whole country of Syria. Whether it's justified or not, you can argue and say whatever. You're talking about Israel now. The UN focused their shift to Israel, and their special envoy to Syria that was quote-unquote working for al-Assad suddenly blames Israel. Iran blames Israel and America. Everybody's blaming the Jews. You only care when the Jews are in the news. Or what do they say? No Jews, no news. And the Jews are trying to scream back and saying, we did it, da-da-da-da-da. You got to listen to us. I don't understand, you screaming back, but it's 90-10, the fault of the other people. Dude, your country's in chaos. You just took over a country. Welcome. You just think you're taking over that country. There are other factors involved. That's going to happen. Now, number two, getting back to this, Afghanistan, you talk about the Middle East, Afghanistan, the Taliban, are fighting Pakistan. And there are airstrikes, there are drone attacks, hundreds of people dying in camps, no one knows who's who. I didn't even know the whole situation. Why on WION News is reporting something here or there? Nobody cares. You don't hear Fox talking about it. They're talking a little bit about the Houthis. Obviously, the U.S. is involved a little bit here, being in the U.S. But everyone's talking about the Houthis because who are they going after? They're going after the Jews and Israel. So the Jews everyone's talking about. And Al Jazeera says, they just bombed the airport. Why the airport? That's a civilian thing. It's you got to be kidding me. Who started the fight? You start the fight. I don't know. Sky's the limit of what the retaliation is. No one cares. You only care when the Jews fight back and say, they could get attacked. But they can't fight back. Da-da-da. Here. But here's my problem. There are hundreds of people, thousands of people dying in Syria, Afghanistan. I don't know if the retaliation happened in Pakistan yet, to be honest. Ukraine, millions of people, probably on each side, civilians, people. There are reports. I don't know if it's true, and I hope it's not. But that Ukrainian kids, thousands of them have been kidnapped, and no one gives a rat's ass. You don't give a shit. No, seriously. You general public don't care about Ukrainian kids. No one cares. But you sit here and you say rights to certain people that you care, and it's not personal to you. You don't give a darn. It doesn't matter to you. And then you always talk about other stuff, about rights for indigenous people to places and whatnot. Indigenous people to lands. When they take over, you're going to be the first one crying in America when the indigenous take over the country, in Canada and Europe. But right now you talk about indigenous people, you care about their rights, and then when they take away your rights, you're going to start crying, okay? The same people defund the police, these politicians start calling the police, and the police are not available because you are an idiot. You guys you're not educated. You are ignorant and don't care to be educated. And you don't care. You don't give a darn until it hits you. And you know exactly what you're doing, but it's irrelevant to you. And you keep saying, I'm not vulnerable. You are vulnerable like everyone else. And you say you care about the Middle East. You don't care about anybody. Something deep down is bothering you. You better believe in a God, because the God is telling you, these are the people that you care about the most. To kill, to hate, or to love. Like it or not, you care about these people. And I'm talking about not just left-wing liberals. I'm talking about right-wing people who are nuts as well. Like Tucker Carlson. You always talk about Israel. When you talk about Candace Owens, why do you give a darn about what's with you in Israel? What did they do? You say they're taking money. Da da da. Well, hold on a minute. They're taking money. If America didn't get involved in this whole situation in the Middle East, this thing would have been over a long time ago, and Israel would have taken over towns, and this whole conflict wouldn't have happened. This happened years ago. If you're educated on the topic in the 1980s and the 90s, when this group was coming up and up, called Hamas, Israel wanted to take out the heads of these groups, and Bill Clinton said no. This was actually, Bibi Netanyahu was ahead of his game. I don't understand. You just don't read. You don't even read on the topic, and then you talk about the Liberty. The USS Liberty back in 1967, which, by the way, was a problem. It was a terrible mistake, and it's sad that our soldiers died from the airstrike that was going through. But if you realize Israel was fighting 6 countries, anything that wasn't theirs, you have to understand what the hell was the U.S. doing. But the U.S. was actually spying on both sides, because they were actually friendly with the Egyptian side, and they were friendly with the Israeli side at the same time. And oh, by the way, the president, I think it was Truman, said that Israel cannot strike first, and if Israel had listened to him, they wouldn't have been around today. And you said, oh, it's good, Israel wouldn't have been around today. It wouldn't have been a problem. Well, it would have, because America needs them in the Middle East. Number one, that would be good for trade routes, which, oh, by the way, it would affect your pocket. Now, I know you don't care about your pockets because you're rich as hell, but at the same time, you have to understand this, whether you like them or not. If they're fighting for survival, they're going to do what it takes to survive. And they're fighting 5 armies, and they didn't realize a 5.1 of an army, 0.1, is spying on them at the same time. Now, if they would have known it was an American ship, they probably wouldn't have done it. But at the same time, you have to understand, anything that's not part of you at that time is a problem. Stop getting in the way. And they didn't tell the soldiers that it was a 6-day war. The U.S. was at fault for that at the same time. Yes, Israel's the main culprit, but that's like saying, when people start complaining and saying the problem with the Russia-Ukraine war is that you were trying to put Ukraine in NATO and you were parking NATO at their front door. Well, if you're saying the same thing with like Candace Owens is saying, and Adam Mate and all these other guys are saying that you're parking NATO at your front door, don't expect them to do nothing. Obviously, the main culprit is Putin. So why are you blaming the 1967 on Israel then? Why can you blame America too? Why is the whole thing on Israel then? Because it bothers you. It bothers you that these people were chosen by Mount Sinai, and you keep doing this. You keep having a problem, and you say you care about the Palestinians. You don't give a darn. You don't care about babies. You never did. All of you, right wing, left wing, middle wing, it doesn't matter. You don't care. You don't care about anybody. You don't care about elderly people. You don't. You never did, and you never will. Because if you cared about elderly people, today the other side just stabbed an 83-year-old lady, and you don't give. You're keeping quiet. And I'm talking about today, Friday, December 27, 2024. It just stabbed a lady who's 83-year-old lady. What is she gonna do? And you talk about elderly, and you talk about young kids. Be consistent on both sides. Then I'm just saying, be consistent or care about everybody. Don't care about specific people. But you know why you do? Because God told them years ago. God told these people years ago, they're it. They're going to be successful no matter where they go. They're going to have the brains. They're going to be the innovators. Everyone's going to need them to do business. Everyone's going to need them to be the bankers. Everyone's going to need them to be the lawyers. And everyone's going to need them to even freaking do Hollywood movies. Everyone. And all the models, they're going to be point whatever, 0 plus whatever, and they're beautiful girls everywhere, and they're going to be models too. Okay? Everyone wants a piece of them because everyone's selfish and they want it for their own good. But the minute they don't serve them, and the minute Everything's off. Oh, they run the world. They run the world. Okay, they run the world. You know what? When you keep saying that, there are consequences. And by the way, the Middle East, don't tell me you care. You don't care. You could care less about Syrians. You don't care about the Afghanistans who were getting killed. Remember the Taliban when they took over? Everybody's saying, "Oh, women's rights." I don't hear a word about women's rights in Afghanistan anymore. I don't hear about the Taliban anymore. And Pakistan, you don't care because Pakistan and India happened at the same time. 1 billion versus 1 billion people in Pakistan and India were going at it, and they're still going at it. There's still a conflict for years, and no one cares. You don't care about people. You only care about your family, your friends, and the Jews. And I'm talking to everybody. Have a good day, good weekend, and have a good rest of your year of 2024, and we'll see you in 2025.